So I think it is a very clear indication that the royal family either know something or suspect something, and they therefore feel the need to distance themselves from the daughters. Now, this could be pressure from William. Charles may be changing his mind. He has been, of course, very sympathetic to them over the last few months. I mean, we know that they weren't prepared to do an audit of their finances and business activities for William. William, I think, is calling more of the shots now.
There's a photograph from April 2024 that keeps coming back to me. Two sisters laughing in the Windsor sunshine, looking for all the world like a monarchy's salvation. They looked like women arriving, not leaving. But in the silent halls of the institution, the ground doesn't just shift, it vanishes. This Easter, that laughter was replaced by a chilling three-word explanation: alternative plans. It's a phrase that says nothing, yet reveals everything. Because by the time the public realizes someone is missing, the decision to erase them was made a long time ago. What really happened to the York sisters? Before we dive deeper, I'll take 30 seconds of your time to let you know this is the perfect moment to subscribe to the channel. I'd also like to get your input on something important to us. Would you prefer content about Meghan Markle, the secrets of Queen Camilla, and Prince William's decisions, covering the entire royal family? Or should we focus exclusively on Sarah Ferguson and Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor? Let me know your opinion in the comments. Based on your preferences, we'll create the content you want to see. And don't forget to like this video.
You know, there was a big line pushed out that they're just innocents caught up in the problems of their parents. But I think as more and more material comes out of the Epstein releases, and as I think journalists begin to dig, I think we're getting a slightly different picture, which is the picture I think I presented over a long period, that they are more deeply involved. They are continuing to trade off their royal status to make money for themselves. And so we're getting a slightly less sympathetic approach. And there was a big piece in the Mail by Sarah Rainey. And we've seen quite a lot of sort of briefing, either for or against the Yorks, from various journalists who are tied to particular bits of the royal family. So there's certainly a lot more going on behind the scenes than I think perhaps people realize.
The monarchy is often described as a firm, but in reality, it's a masterclass in the art of the silent purge. Just 12 months ago, the royal machine was leaking a very specific narrative. Beatrice and Eugenie were the chosen ones. They were the fresh faces, the secret weapons destined to step up and save a crown that was visibly buckling under the weight of health crises and reduced numbers. Insiders called them assets. The public saw them as the bridge to a modern future. But then, the wind changed. The signs didn't start with a press release, they started with a void. When the Windsor gates opened this Easter, the sisters were nowhere to be found. The official line was alternative plans. A phrase so sterile, so perfectly vague that it practically screams something went wrong. In the world of the palace, you don't just miss Easter unless a bridge has been burned. Think about the speed of this reversal. We're talking about women who only months prior were being discussed in the same breath as working royals. There were high-level conversations, sourced reports, and a palpable sense of momentum. And then total radio silence. No photographs, no joint appearances. Just a series of quiet, clinical withdrawals that suggest the door wasn't just closed, it was deadbolted. But why would the king abandon his most glamorous solution just as things were getting difficult? To understand that, you have to look past the smiles and into the shadow of a name that has become radioactive within the palace walls. Because the problem wasn't what the sisters did, it was the shadow they couldn't outrun. The narrative of Beatrice and Eugenie being the king's hidden assets wasn't just a rumor. It was a calculated gamble that backfired spectacularly. In the early months of 2024, the palace was quietly testing the waters for a York comeback, viewing the sisters as the only members of the next gen who could bridge the gap while the senior royals were sidelined. They were young, they were professional, and they were, crucially, untainted. But then came the tidal wave of the 2025 document releases, and the gamble turned into a catastrophe. The emails leaked from the Epstein files didn't just mention their father, they placed the sisters themselves in the room. New reports emerged of the sisters being present at high-profile meetings with their mother, Sarah Ferguson, and the disgraced financier long after his first conviction. While no one is accusing the sisters of a crime, in the world of royal optics, the crime is the connection itself. The king, who had been looking at them as potential assets, suddenly found himself staring at a PR nightmare that could sink the entire slimmed-down vision of his reign. This is where the silent purge truly began. Behind the scenes, the internal battle lines were being drawn, and for the first time, it wasn't just about Charles. Whispers from Kensington Palace suggest that Prince William and Catherine have been the ones pushing for a hard line on the Yorks as the William era begins to take shape. They reportedly view any public association with the sisters as muddying the message of a clean, scandal-free monarchy. Imagine being told you're the future of the firm on Monday, and by Friday you're being warned that even your grace and favor homes are under review. Sources say the sisters have been blindsided by the speed of the freeze-out, finding themselves isolated from the very homes they've lived in for years. But the most chilling part of this exclusion isn't just the loss of a title or a house. It's the realization that while the king's door is technically open, the locks have already been changed, and the key might be held by someone even more determined to keep them out. The tarnish we're talking about isn't a theory anymore. It's a visible, documented reality that has begun to strip these women of their public identities. For years, the royal family relied on the idea that you could separate the daughters from the father. But in early 2026, that shield finally shattered. The trigger was a fresh wave of document releases that didn't just mention Prince Andrew. They placed Beatrice and Eugenie, then just teenagers, in the middle of a world they never asked to inhabit. Now, we're seeing the fallout in real time. In a move that sent shockwaves through the human rights community, Princess Eugenie was forced to step down as patron of Anti-Slavery International, a role she held with genuine passion for 7 years. The charity's statement was polite, but the subtext was brutal. Their work against trafficking simply couldn't be associated with the York name anymore. It was the silent purge of a career she had spent a decade building. But here is where the story takes a darker, more personal turn. While the public sees the professional doors closing, the private ones are reportedly being slammed shut by the people they once called their closest allies. Rumors from within the palace walls suggest that the William era has no room for collateral damage. Prince William is reportedly the architect of a new, uncompromising zero-contact policy, viewing any public embrace of his cousins as a stain on the future of his own reign. Even their most basic traditions are being systematically erased. For the first time in memory, the sisters were reportedly advised to stay away from the 2026 Royal Ascot, a place where they were once the stars of the show. Imagine the psychological toll. Being banned from your family's most cherished traditions while the king publicly insists the door is open. It's a game of institutional gaslighting. But as the sisters find themselves squeezed out of London, a new mystery is emerging across the Atlantic. Why has Beatrice's husband, Ado, been spending such a significant amount of time in Florida, away from the royal storm? And what did his father mean when he said he had opinions he couldn't share? The distance isn't just geographical anymore, it's becoming a divide that might never be crossed. While the palace public relations machine keeps churning out the same tired lines, a much more revealing story is unfolding 4,000 miles away in the humidity of Florida. If you want to know the true status of a royal marriage, don't look at the official Christmas cards. Look at the flight manifests. In early 2026, as Beatrice was reportedly reeling from the latest explosive updates regarding her father's legal situation, her husband, Edoardo Mapelli-Mozzi, wasn't by her side at Royal Lodge. He was in Florida, not just for a weekend, but for a series of extended solo trips to the exclusive Fisher Island Club, a luxury enclave so private it's reachable only by ferry or helicopter. The timing of these trips has been described by insiders as deeply uncomfortable. While Beatrice was allegedly facing the cold shoulder from senior royals back in London, Ado was sharing sun-drenched updates of ocean views and multi-million-dollar construction sites. On the surface, it's just business. Ado is a high-end property developer, after all. But in the world of high-stakes optics, his absence sent a message that was impossible to ignore. It whispered of a man distancing himself from a radioactive brand. As one source chillingly put it, he's worried his in-laws will affect his business. The speculation reached a fever pitch when the Daily Mail tracked down Ado's father, Alessandro Mapelli-Mozzi, at his home in France. When asked about the state of his son's royal marriage, he didn't offer a warm defense or a glowing endorsement. Instead, he dropped a sentence that has been dissected by royal watchers ever since. I have plenty of opinions, but I am not going to talk about them. In the coded language of the aristocracy, that kind of silence isn't a shield. It's a neon sign. It's the sound of a family patriarch refusing to lie for an institution he no longer trusts. But as the rumors of a tear-stricken long-distance crisis began to circulate, the sisters were hit by an even more calculated blow. It wasn't just their marriages under the microscope, it was their very right to exist within the royal geography. Reports began to surface that the couple was considering a bombshell move stateside, a move that would effectively ban their parents from ever visiting them due to ongoing legal complexities. It was a choice between family loyalty and survival. And just as the pressure reached a breaking point, the institution decided to remind them exactly how temporary their royal status really is. The most chilling part of this exclusion isn't a single act of defiance. It's the way the institution is quietly starving the sisters of their history. For months, the battle over Royal Lodge has been portrayed as a simple real estate dispute between the king and his brother. But in early 2026, the stakes shifted from property to inheritance. When their father was finally pressured to relinquish the lease on the 31-room Windsor estate, Beatrice and Eugenie didn't just lose a family home. They lost their anchor to the royal geography. While some reports suggest a sense of relief at escaping the maintenance costs, the reality is far more isolating. They are being severed from the very ground they were raised on. This isn't just about a house. It's about a calculated narrowing of the royal circle that seems to have one primary architect, Prince William. Insiders are now describing the Prince of Wales as the CEO of the family, and his vision for the future has no room for the York sisters. The rumor mill has turned into a roar, with reports that William issued a him or us ultimatum regarding the 2026 Easter service. It wasn't just a suggestion, it was a branding exercise. If you are not part of the core, you are invisible. This zero-tolerance policy has left the sisters in a state of institutional limbo. Too royal to be private citizens, but too radioactive to be seen. But even as the palace shuts its doors, a new and unexpected alliance is reportedly forming in the shadows. Royal watchers have noted the sisters' conspicuous warmth toward Prince Harry and Meghan. It's a move that has many wondering. Are Beatrice and Eugenie preparing their own Sussex-style exit? The visits to California were once seen as simple family loyalty, but in the zero-sum game of modern royal politics, being seen in Montecito is now viewed as an act of rebellion. They are caught between a cousin who wants to clean the board and a cousin who has already flipped it over. The question that remains isn't whether Beatrice and Eugenie will be allowed back in. It's whether there will be anything left to return to. With their patronages ending, their homes being reclaimed, and their husbands looking for opportunities across the Atlantic, the sisters are facing a future where their titles are their only remaining link to a life that is rapidly being erased. The king says the door is open, but as 2026 unfolds, it's becoming clear that the path to that door has been systematically dismantled. And the person holding the map may have already decided that the York era is over for good. This isn't just a story about titles and tiaras. It's a story about how quickly the people who were supposed to be the hidden assets of the crown can become the very ghosts the crown is trying to outrun. But what do you think? Is the king being forced into this silent purge by a new, harder line from Prince William? Or is this a calculated retreat the sisters have chosen for themselves? And more importantly, if they are truly being erased, who is next? The conversation is just beginning in the comments below, and I want to hear your theories. If you found this deep dive into the silent purge eye-opening, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We're tracking every move behind the palace walls, and you won't want to miss what we've uncovered for our next video. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.